Thank you very much. It's PHNX Cardinals Tank Tuesday live. Bo Brock, Johnny Venerable, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Double tap this video. Give it a like. Leave us a 5-star. Wherever you get your programming. Tanks ahead. Bo Brock, who is not repping the tank with your boy with his shady rays. What gives, my better half?
You really think I'm going to do you guys that dirty? That I'm going to show up on the debut of Tank Tuesdays, and I'm not going to have it suns out, guns out? You don't think I'm going to be repping a tank? Because I absolutely am.
Oh, no.
I brought my scissors. It's craft time, and I'm going to make my own tank top. Now, I hate to do this to this beautiful PHNX locker T-shirt.
Are you taking your shirt off while you?
No, I think I'll keep it on me unless Jacob is here. Producer Jacob's here in case I bleed out. If I cut myself, he's here to call the paramedics and just soak up any of the blood that I get on the carpet and lose our deposit here at the PHNX studios. But I wanted to kind of make mine. This is for anybody who wants to join in on Tank Tuesdays. If they don't have a tank top like myself, I'm doing a service. We continually do a service to our friends out there watching the show who we appreciate.
Tank Tuesdays, we're hoping that it catches on as a cool thing, and you might make it not cool real quick if this segment goes south fast. So a lot is riding on this. We're ditching the proverbial tank, the big military weapon, right? You know, that's for other shows. This is a tank top. We live here in the Valley, some of us in the East Valley, maybe sometime soon. And we rep the tank tops year round here. We're going to rep them all season long with the Arizona Cardinals. Will they tank? Are you going to do this now at the top?
Yeah, I was going to get to it. I mean, you can get us. Why don't you just kind of get into the show, and I'm just going to start cutting away.
All right. So as Bo Brock butchers a premium tee from the PHNX merchandise locker, we've got this article, I guess you can call it that, from our guy, or not so much.
So strong on these.
Gary Davenport from Bleacher Report. Put out his list, the most overrated players in the NFL. Who did he have? Number one, old Gary. He had our boy, Kyler Murray, first overall, ahead of the likes of Daniel Jones and company. Here's a quick expert as you continue to see Bo Brock cut his sleeves off live on air. This is from Davenport. On some level, it seems like it's a little mean to kick things off with a player who is hurt, but Kyler Murray's ACL has nothing to do with his being the most NFL overrated quarterback. That ship sailed before he got hurt. Wow. So Murray's second contract was the sunk cost facility rung amok.
Is that a little too thirst trappy for our friends out there watching?
Oh, man.
Little shoulder.
We're seeing the subscriber count go up as we speak, Bo Brock. Wow. Hopefully this video doesn't get flagged. X-rated. This again from Davenport, as if last year's career worst numbers in most categories weren't any indication. I guess that's all on Kyler Murray. Things aren't going to get better from here. That is very abrasive comments from Davenport. It should be noted that Kyler Murray, even in an injury-riddled season with Cliff Kingsbury at the helm, he almost threw as many touchdowns as Daniel Jones, who got a contract extension this spring. Are you wrapping it up? What's happening here?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of get them nice so I could kind of rip them off Hulk style.
The anti-Hulk.
It's not, I mean, the how well made these shirts are, it's a little tough.
I don't think
you're getting quality when you're getting into the PHNX locker. So I've got this almost done. There we go. Guns are out.
You're going to do the baseball tee, which it goes all the way down the side.
You want me to? That'd be a cool look, no doubt about it.
It might free the nip inadvertently on this show. So we're keeping the conversation going. How deep should Bo's cut be? Put it in the chat. Dean in the chat saying pretty Bo football. Ben Cork saying Bo starting in the outfield.
There you go.
Thank you.
We're all set.
There you go. Pob 42 Tank Tuesday. Cardinals are doing Tank 2023. Hey, you might be onto something. That's why your boys are onto something. All right, now we can kick off Tank Tuesday.
We're gonna auction off these headbands that I just created as well.
Those will go for negative funds. So 5 minutes into the show, Bo has joined the program officially with his Tank Tuesday PHNX Cardinals t-shirt. And again, in all seriousness, Bo Brock, per Gary Davenport, I know you saw the article. Basically just trashes Kyler Murray for the better part of 3 paragraphs. Basically talks about his diminishing numbers, talks about the fact that, He's 6 games under 500 as a starter, and his lone playoff game, he calls it a catastrophe. We're not here to argue Kyler Murray's top 5 quarterback right now, but to kick a player while he's down, when he's on torn ACL, when he was brutally mismanaged by the coaching staff, by the prior GM, both of which have been jet-setted, I've always been of the mindset that Kyler Murray and some of the habits that people don't love, I think would have been nipped in the bud by let's call it a different organization, a different franchise had he been drafted. He had gone to Pittsburgh, if he had gone to New England, periods in places where they have sustained success. Like imagine if Mike Tomlin had been his coach from day one. I think Kyler Murray's trajectory would have been different. Now, with that being said, I think we're still in a period where Kyler Murray's trajectory will be different under Jonathan Gannon and company. But these kind of articles, it's off-season fodder. He's an easy target. He remains an easy target, and away we go.
Yeah, and the Arizona Cardinals, they tried to pair Sean Payton with Kyler Murray, and I think people might have backed off a little bit. Are they giving the benefit of the doubt to Russell Wilson, that Russell Wilson at 35 years old is going to be able to turn it around? Like, as long as Russell Wilson, who makes more per average season than Kyler Murray is in the league at this point, like, his trajectory, he's going to go back up after being horrible last year. Like, as long as Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones are employed and making over $40 million per season, I think that those guys are the ones that should really, truly be vying for the most overrated quarterback. And to start your article saying, oh, I don't want to pile on, but here's why I'm going to pile on a guy who's recovering from a torn ACL and really can't defend himself on the field right out of the gates with a new head coach, a new offensive play caller, new scheme, basically. I think that's unfair. And I did some digging, and Gary Davenport, respected, especially in the fantasy football ranks. I noticed that he picked up Kyler Murray in his dynasty league a couple seasons ago, and maybe might have a little just spite towards Kyler because of the down year that he experienced last year. But look, I mean, you just pit him just side by side, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is the most overrated guy right now, in my opinion. Making over $48 million per year after the extension he signed after he was traded to the Denver Broncos, and what Seattle was able to pull off a complete just highway robbery of the Broncos for all those picks and the picks that they turned them into and expedited their rebuild. I think as far as everything that went into that, Kyler Murray just signed a mega $1 million extension, right? And he had a poor season. That was it. He didn't cost and set back a franchise and get a coach fired, not even within a full season worth of gains. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett was fired before the end of the season last year. Cardinals at least waited until Black Monday. Russell Wilson is the most overrated quarterback, no doubt about it. 16 touchdowns to 11 picks. For the bulk of the season, he had more bathrooms in his Denver area mansion than he did touchdown passes. Carson Wentz, for the bulk of last season, hadn't played a significant amount of time, had more touchdown passes than Russell Wilson. We heard of him doing calisthenics on the plane and bothering teammates and stuff like that. But, he's watching thousands of hours of film. He couldn't possibly be overrated. Let's kick the guy while he's down. An easy target, Kyler Murray. Doesn't have the sexy hire as the head coach and Sean Payton. But, Kyler Murray is the guy.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, Jalen, in the chat, what are we defining overrated? I think it's the money that he makes. But, again, Daniel Jones just got almost the same equivalent in terms of year base salary. And Daniel Jones had 15 touchdowns last year and 3,200 yards passing. And that's what warranted, in a contract year, that extension. I mean, that's laughable. I would also say Kyler Murray, unlike a lot of these quarterbacks, Russell had a top 5 defense in Denver last year and still couldn't be competent. Still was below average. It was a joke last year. It was an embarrassment.
It was the worst offense in the league. As far as drives that either stalled out and turned into a punt or a turnover, the Broncos had the most by far in the NFL. You
watched him and he looked washed. He did not look like a competent NFL player. Like, at no point last year when we watched Kyler Murray struggles or not, did you think, well, Kyler Murray doesn't have it. He can't play anymore. And this is my opinion of Kyler Murray since day one is he has to go in his own category, because what he was asked to do was turn around the worst offense in modern NFL history in 2018 and save this franchise by himself. We found out over the course of 4 seasons that Cliff Kingsbury was not a big-time head coach. In a lot of scenarios, he held Kyler Murray back. Kyler Murray, it came to the Cardinals maybe a little bit immature, but he was also, 20, 21 years old, and he had been around competence in Lincoln Riley and probably just thought, well, what's with the Cardinals? Get your act together. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't support him. They couldn't have a competent offensive line or a running game. Kyler Murray's 5'10" and a half, and they consistently got him undersized receivers. It was a joke. They were overpaying Larry Fitzgerald, with all due respect, at the end of his career. I have so much more respect for Kyler Murray than most, because I know what he entered, and I saw how competent he played in 2019. I saw how he elevated this franchise single-handedly at times. So Daniel Jones was the byproduct of what I think is an elite head coach and an infrastructure in the Giants that finally got their act together. And they kind of won by default. They had a fourth place schedule. They won a lot of one possession games, and Daniel played fine at times. But don't turn on the tape and tell me they're even comparable in the same strategy as player. Kyler Murray, if you ask Kyler Murray to do what Daniel Jones did, he can do that 10 times better. And he can do that at a high level and have that be sustainable, I think, for a long time. And I'm anxious to see under Drew Petzing and company, Bo, okay, let's harness a lot of what he does great and maximize it. But at the same time, let's have him play within the parameters of the offense, because Cliff Kingsbury's offense, I mean, he and Kyler did not see eye to eye, to the point where Kyler Murray was just ad-libbing way too much. And I don't put that on Kyler Murray. I put that on Cliff.
No, you shouldn't. And when you look at the numbers side by side, as far as Daniel Jones versus Kyler Murray, both drafted in the same draft, right? 2019, Kyler goes 1 overall. Giants take Daniel Jones a couple picks later, kind of shocking a lot of people. And you've got Kyler Murray 25, 31, and 1 overall. You've got Daniel Jones, even with a solid season with the Giants last year, 21, 31, and 1. Nearly 67 completion percentage to 64. Yep. The pass yards, Kyler has way more than Daniel Jones, way more per game. It's 240 to 215. And then he's got 24 more passing touchdowns and basically the same amount of games. Kyler has just a few more picks, 41 to 34. And then you talk about Daniel Jones's ability to rush the football. Kyler Murray, 23 rush touchdowns to 12, and 2,200 rushing yards to 1,700 rushing yards. I mean, Kyler Murray is far and away a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, and nobody seems to care that Daniel Jones, it was a way less publicized extension, 4 years, $160 million, that people feel far more comfortable about the Giants giving to Daniel Jones than Kyler Murray, because there was no study clause. It wasn't just a kind of dragged out public mudslinging between two parties, between the organization and the representation and the player, and leaks and reports about Daniel Jones. It was unfortunately Kyler Murray was a victim of sorts. I think his representation absolutely plays a role in this, but he was a victim of this playing out so publicly. And, people just didn't like it. And I can understand that. I can understand the criticism there. But to say that Daniel Jones at, making over $40 million per season starting next year isn't overrated, I think, or that Kyler Murray is more overrated than that, is you're not doing your homework.
I just also, let's take a 3,000-foot view, a 5,000-foot view of what this franchise has endured at the quarterback position before this. Again, you got very quick, sustained periods of success with Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer, but that's it. You got guys in their mid to late 30s come in and have some success for you. But in terms of drafting young quarterbacks, it has been maybe the biggest unmitigated disaster of any franchise in terms of taking a player in the draft and labeling that person your franchise quarterback. I mean, Neil Lomax had a couple good seasons in the 80s. Jake Plummer had the one playoff berth and the playoff win, and then you go all the way back to the teams of the 70s. I mean, they have never had a young franchise quarterback come in and galvanize the fan base and get people excited about this football team. He's got a 67 completion percentage for his career. He's got almost 14,000 yards passing, 90 passing touchdowns, just on the fringe outside 90 passing touchdowns. And then you throw in all of his accolades on the ground as a runner, which are elite. I think he's got over 2,000 yards rushing, easily over 20 rushing touchdowns. And people are like, yeah, that's not good enough. I mean, okay. Like, would you prefer he win more games? Absolutely. But this is not, again, I keep going back to these franchise. This is not Green Bay. This is not the Steelers. These are not the teams that crank out franchise quarterbacks every 4 to 5 years. When it's time to move on, or there's somebody else. The Cardinals and their fan base, and I think that's why the fan base is so divided on Kyler Murray at times, because you've got a segmented part of the fan base that's like, yeah, I don't like how he acts off the field, the emotion, right, the pouting. But I think there's a large portion of this fan base that's not like, take your medicine, but like, hello, are you new here? Have you seen what this quarterback room look like historically? Have you seen what they've trotted out? And then maybe it's okay to point out that, yeah, Kyler's got some things he needs to work on, some hiccups. But is his infrastructure great? No one can say that. Look at the NFLPA report card and then tell me. I look at all the evidence. You have to look at all the evidence. And you look at the report card, his coaches, his general manager. Everything that Osborne is doing is the opposite of Steve Keim right now, which is telling you Steve Keim couldn't build a football team. That's what Kyler Murray's been dealing with for 4 years. That's it's a joke. It's surprising he's be able to have as much success
he was more of a crutch, right? He was a crutch to a failed team building philosophy. It was brutal. I mean, you had a general manager that instead of building an offensive line, tried to build this next level or next wave of off-ball linebackers that just never came to fruition because they're not premium positions. By the way, did you mention Neil Lomax? Is he right here?
He is. Oh, Jesus.
See, no, he's just pointing to Neil Lomax, on a Tank Tuesday.
I love this comment in the chat. Mike Bird Gang T from PHNX came today. They are nice. Hell yeah.
Don't cut them like me. Don't cut that beauty up like me. This is something I outgrew because can't keep my hands off the snack table. So
hey, that's all right. Listen, Bo and I were in the pool just a couple weeks ago, and the dad bods were in full force. Because it is the off season. Kyler Murray is working to come back from rehab. We're working on our waistline. Rhett Brown, PHNX podcast, my guys, J and B, given facts. Well, listen, sometimes facts need to be given, and we're not Kyler Murray apologists here, and we're not rushing to the microphone every time somebody writes a dumb article. But it literally, it's like, hey, it's June. My editorial needs something by the end of the week. I guess I'll write a hit piece on Kyler Murray being not a great player. And then you turn on the tape. It's like, what are you talking about? Overrated? Just take his contract out of the equation. In my opinion, there aren't 10 quarterbacks I'd rather have in the NFL.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 quarterbacks had better years last year. But, I mean, I saw a prediction the other day that had the Saints as the 1 seed in the NFC. You'd rather have Derek Carr than Kyler Murray? That's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I've seen that type of slander for years now. I mean, I saw that last offseason. Somebody died on the Derek Carr hill because you did. If you were out there being a Derek Carr truther or that he's better quarterback than Kyler Murray, that case died last year when he was benched in place of Jared Stidham. I mean, it's over. And then the Raiders were just like, go away. And then he signed with the Saints.
Didn't even get compensation for him. They cut him Hopkins style.
It was brutal. And here's what makes me feel better about this is when I look at the rest of this list, because it was Kyler Murray was the most overrated quarterback, but the Gary Davenport went through and ranked the most overrated players at each position in the NFL. Alvin Kamara at running back, who struggled to stay healthy, but I still don't think he's the most overrated running back.
Oh, wow.
Odell Beckham Jr., I think there's a case for that as far as productivity, his inability to get on the field. Obviously he was really good for the Rams, but before that, there's a pretty decent stretch where you've been wanting more from Odell Beckham Jr. So, the other names on this, David Njoku at tight end, Jawan Taylor just got a big free agent deal to become the blindside protector of Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Brandon Scherf, who was a big part of the Jaguars making it to the playoffs last year at the guard position.
It's just like he picked all these guys who have gotten big contracts. You're not
exactly that. You're not worth to be the constant here.
It's just like, who thinks these players are worth these contracts? These general managers who are trying to win games. The Baltimore Ravens are desperate for receiver play, and that's why they gave Odell Beckham $16 million. The Cardinals knew deep down that, yes, there's some things about Kyler that they would prefer to change. They gave him $230 million because they know without Kyler Murray, they would go winless. they would be inept. They would be in line for a top 5 draft pick every year. He gives them a chance to win when the roster is competent every single Sunday. They have, I mean, again, you cannot count on Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner coming around and elevating your franchise every 3 to 5 years. Those were flash in the pan instances that a lot of franchises never get. So the best route to take is, do I have a guy under 30 who gives me a chance to make the playoffs every single year, and certain years maybe reach a title game or a Super Bowl? And that's what you have in Kyler Murray, and that's why they paid him that money. But the problem was they didn't have their house in order with everything else. I'm with you 100%. Eric Burkhart watches the show. Kyler Murray's agent, maybe friend of the program one day. We'll try to get him on. I'm sure everybody would like to do things a little bit differently over the course of how that contract was handled publicly, right? Michael Bidwell sure as hell would like to take back a few things as it relates to maybe a video game clause or two. But if the Cardinals didn't pay Kyler Murray, guess what? A bunch of other teams would have paid Kyler Murray. That's a fact. That's indisputable. And if the Cardinals suck this year and Kyler Murray doesn't play and they get the number 1 overall pick, there will be teams lined up to trade for Kyler Murray because it's Kyler Murray.
Do you fault his representation, Eric Burkhart, for trying to force the issue in getting the contract done before last season?
No, I don't.
Otherwise,
just
what's Kyler Murray doing right now?
The tiny font in the one press release.
Absolutely. And he'll
things like
that. He'll poke fun at himself for that. No doubt about it. But also you saw, I think he was going to go as far as the Cardinals were willing to go in that. And the Cardinals obliged, no doubt about it. And they made it ugly, right? And it was an ugly public negotiation. But at the end of the day, Burkhart got his client $230.5 million and put him.
He's a great agent.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. I mean, it was necessary because otherwise Kyler Murray, as far as relative to the NFL, he's sitting there and he's only got his 5th-year option picked up if they don't force the issue. And Kyler Murray had done everything to that point that any other quarterback that had gotten a deal, like his had done. I mean, as far as, improve each and every season, improve, as far as wins each season. He went from just a brutal, historically bad offense before he was drafted, and they pivoted from Josh Rosen in 2018 to him in 2019 to go from 3 wins to 5 wins to 8 wins to 11 wins. And then they take a massive step back. But look, the NFL is a tough place, and it will humble you, and it will, especially after signing a big deal. And I think Kyler Murray still understands the pressure that he should be under and is answering that this offseason. Did he do everything right? I don't think anybody would say that he did. And I think any player, in his situation understands that you can take some missteps. But, I think now with Kingsbury gone, with, of course, Steve Keim gone, he's got the right people, pointing him in the right direction.
Things are getting hot in here with our tanks. You should be rocking your tank. On Tank Tuesday, I got you another place you should be rocking your tank this fall. How about the BetMGM Sportsbook on the Great Lawn at State Farm Stadium? Bo and I are going to be there every single football Sunday, home and away this fall. Broadcast BetMGM every single Sunday, State Farm Stadium. You'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be hanging out on the Great Lawn. We'll be inside. We'll be outside. Maybe rock your tee. Maybe at that point, hey, we'll have a merchandise locker, tank tee. Would absolutely love to see it. Here's another thing I'd love to see. I'd love to see you at the first Friday every single month, the Knockout Nights Cornhole League. It runs this month all the way through August. Specials, giveaways, BetMGM prizes, and more. And how about this? The BetMGM app. If you haven't downloaded it, what are you waiting for? Every Saturday and Wednesday, they've got the bonus bets on the house. Fans will automatically receive a bonus bet upon logging into the BetMGM app. Now, the bets do expire after 72 hours, so do not wait. Bonus bets can only be used on sports wagers. But again, if you haven't signed up with the BetMGM Sportsbook app yet, use that sweet bonus code PHNX. Now, there's a few different offers depending on where you live. But for our friends, folks in Arizona, our Arizona audience in particular, you're going to get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Again, make sure use that bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to my guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan. Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms.
I just found out an amazing promotion going on over at Four Peaks, and the only way I found out about it is because I follow them on Instagram at Four Peaks Brew, and there's more to that I'll tell you about in just a bit. But they've got Four Peaks for Teachers Tuesdays, and of course today is Tuesday. Why don't you get over there if you're a teacher? Get $4 Core 4 pints. So that means Four Peaks for Teachers is back every Tuesday between now and July. You'll get $4 Core 4 pints. That's Kilt Lifter, that's the Wow Wheat, that's the Hazy, and the Hop Knot. All day for teachers with valid teacher ID. You got to check the link in the bio there on their IG account to find out about a future kit pick up locations and how to donate for everything else about Four Peaks for Teachers. Also, while you're perusing their Instagram, you can sign up to win yourself 4 D-backs tickets. 4 D-backs tickets, of course, to an upcoming Arizona Diamondbacks game. The Snakes are heating up. Why not get out to a game on Four Peaks? Get those D-bucks as well. Go out to the Four Peaks tap room and enjoy taking in one of the best teams in baseball right now. The only way you can win those tickets is going to the Four Peaks Instagram page, hit the link in the bio, signing up. And in the meantime, go watch the NBA Finals. It's 1-1 now. Go watch the Stanley Cup. Hopefully that series gets a little closer than it's been so far. And watch it at Four Peaks there, 8th Street in Tempe, and get one of the delicious beverages that they brew on location. Got to be 21 years or older, but you also have to enjoy it responsibly. Just checking myself out in the monitor. I look like I'm headed to a Kid Rock concert right now, don't I?
Yeah. You know, they each their own. Dabble with, Ba with the Ba, if you so please. I remember that album came out. I was in the 5th grade. It did, regardless of what you think about Kid Rock, it did have some bangers. We're banging here on Tank Tuesday. I want everybody using the hashtag Tank Tuesday at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. You're rocking your tank. You'll get a retweet from the PHNX_Cardinals.
Let me know if you need some scissors.
Well, hopefully people got scissors at home, but if you need some, Bo Brock's got you covered. Again,
drink
take
responsibly and don't run with these things. That's our message today.
Take a photo of yourself in a tank, hashtag it Tank Tuesdays at PHNX_Cardinals. Instant retweet from your boys. All right, everybody, we talked about it. We've teased it. Fantasy tiers for Arizona. We're going to take a 3,000-foot view, Mr. Bo Brock. This team, a lot of people don't feel like have a lot of promise as it relates to 2023. I beg to differ. We want to talk about our tiers for the 2023 Arizona Cardinal fantasy football prospects, right? And I'm going to cheat at the beginning. I'm going to set aside Kyler Murray because I think Kyler Murray, is he a draftable player to you, Bo Brock? I think he is, but it's not somebody that you're going to be able to prioritize because we presumably aren't going to see Kyler Murray for a hot minute. So I want you to give me, I'm going to put it solid. I'm going to start with solid starters, Bo Brock, for the Arizona Cardinals. Who for fantasy football should people check out? It's just, hey, a lock. I'm going to draft this guy. He's a starter each and every Sunday.
I mean, all I've been hearing, in the press conferences after OTAs about this offense under Drew Petzing and that they're going to emphasize running the football. They're going to look like, Cleveland last year, who had the tandem of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they're just going to establish the run. We heard from James Conner. We've actually got a short that's going to hit our YouTube tomorrow where it's James Conner talking about his excitement level as far as this new offense. Colt McCoy talked about it yesterday. He thinks it's really going to be set up nicely for James Conner to thrive. And, we know about James Conner 2021, right?
Yeah.
Over 1,000 scrimmage yards, 18 total tutties, an unbelievable debut season for James Conner. Got him an extension. He's in the desert at least one more year. But if you look at him last year, he also had over 1,000 scrimmage yards. He had eight total touchdowns. You've got James Conner in 2 seasons for the Arizona Cardinals, over 2,200 scrimmage yards and 26 touchdowns. I didn't stutter there. 26 trips to the end zone in 2 seasons for James Conner. He is undeniably the only definitive fantasy football get for you. And you got to, I think you can take him within, the first 2 rounds, no doubt about it. Now, Josh Norris of Underdog Fantasy put this tweet out that I found pretty fascinating. James Conner, the Cardinals were shit last year, and James Conner still finishes at RB10 in points per game. He's being drafted RB27. What the hell is going on here? Are people not paying attention?
First of all, can we put that tweet back up? I don't care about the tweet because Josh called the Cardinals an expletive there. The all-white jersey on James looks fantastic. The single-digit number, I know he had it in years prior, looks fantastic. You're telling me week 1 against Washington, that man is not going to get in the end zone a couple times? Of course he will. I'm also of the mindset, Bo Brock, that this is going to be the best offensive line this team has had in about a half decade. I think it's going to be the best coached. I think health permitting, you're going to have some consistency across the line. Sure, their interior's got some question marks. We've talked about it ad nauseum. They go 4 deep at tackle. Will Hernandez, you could argue, was their best lineman last year before he went down. They have immense confidence in Yelda Froldholt. Jonathan Gaines kind of waiting in the wings. Where is he going to factor in? They're well coached up front, which means that you've got now number 6 paving the way into the end zone. And also, I think you've got really capable tight ends. I think you've got really capable blocking receivers now in Zach Pascal and company. So I think James Conner is a solid fantasy football lock. I think he goes over 1,000 yards. I mean, Houston ran the ball last year. They were terrible, right? I think we get double-digit touchdowns and 1,000 yards from James Conner. Now, you mentioned the only kind of solid starter for the Cardinals. I disagree. I think Hollywood Brown.
Can I say something real quick? Add on to that offensive line, your 6th overall pick. Where did he thrive? Like, he was good in pass pro, right? But he thrived in the run game, right? Yeah, Paris Johnson Jr. Like, if it comes to fruition that, Will Hernandez, who we know his strength is run blocking more so than pass protection, and then you've got Paris Johnson Jr. that right side. They could be some bulldozers potentially for James Conner.
The Cardinals are going to be so much tougher at the point of attack. It was what Drew Petzing and his offense was last year in Cleveland. I mean, the Browns did not want to throw the ball unless they absolutely had to, especially with Jacoby Brissett, which meant a healthy diet of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who's still available. Hollywood Brown, available probably in a lot of fantasy football drafts. If Hollywood Brown plays 17 games this year, he's going over 1,000 yards. Book it. If you can bet on it when the season starts with props with our friends at BetMGM, book it right now. I don't care if it's Colt McCoy or Clayton Tune or Kyler Murray, hopefully. It's a contract year. Hollywood Brown, I know everybody says this. He looks like he's in the best shape of his career. He's motivated. If he's not going to get paid by the Cardinals, somebody else is going to pay him. He is good for 60-plus yards per game this fall. He's going to get in the end zone. There's going to be so much more creativity. And I think with the presence of a run game, which was not consistent last year, and the presence of true underneath receivers in Zach Pascal, maybe a certain 3rd-round pick out of Stanford. We're going to talk about the tight ends underneath in a second. Hollywood is your true deep threat. Like, there's no confusion. He's the guy down the sideline, corner the end zone that's going to burn teams, and I think his yards per catch is going to go up significantly. So I would say those are my 2 preemptive. I'm drafting those guys to expect to start them every Sunday. Maybe Hollywood is a flex wide receiver number 3. James Conner, Hollywood Brown. Do you have any issue with that?
No, I don't. And I would have had Marquise Hollywood Brown on that list. I think that he could, if we really we continue to comp it to Cleveland's offense, he's going to play the role of Amari Cooper in this offense. Obviously, a little bit undersized, but Amari Cooper, even with Jacoby Brissett taking the bulk of the snaps last season, went over 1,000 yards receiving. I completely agree with you. I think as far as like slam dunk options, Hollywood Brown, if he stays healthy, it doesn't matter if, what ham sandwich is throwing in the quarterback, is playing quarterback and throwing him the football. I think that he's a guy that can make plays. He was one of the few guys making plays in the first 6 games of the season last year in the absence of DeAndre Hopkins. And I think he's the consistent guy post DeAndre Hopkins that can get his. I mean, he was in a run first offense with Lamar Jackson. And when Lamar Jackson looked to throw the football, he looked to his tight ends. I mean, so for him to eclipse 1,000 yards in his final season in Baltimore, that's certainly something. And it gives you confidence that in a contract year, even without Kyler Murray, he can be productive. And I thought Sam Monson saying he was kind of like on the outside looking in, the top 32 receivers in the league is fair. And when you're looking at, fantasy football, I still think that, that's probably top 6 rounds that
Yeah.
he's gonna be there 5, 6.
He's their wide receiver 1
right,
anytime a team, and he's proven.
Right. And when Kyler comes back, I mean, I think that his ceiling gets a little bit higher, getting his buddy back potentially.
Yeah. And I think about last year, so much chaos with this offense and this team. I mean, he missed 5 games. He was on pace for over 1,000 yards. He had 700 yards receiving in 12 games. Most of that came early because he was the dominant receiver. He was carrying this team offensively with Greg Dortch in the passing game and looked really good. He was breaking tackles. And he came back. A lot of people thought after that injury happened that he would not come back. He came back. He finished the season. He had David Blau throwing him the football. So I think Hollywood, if he plays every game, or maybe he misses a game, 1 or 2, he's going over 1,000 yards. I just think he's going to get too many targets. You mentioned Amari Cooper. It's 78 catches last year for 1,100 yards in an offense that was missing Deshaun Watson for 3/4 of the season in a run-first offense. All right, so any other? Okay, so we've done solid starters. So
that Jalen Blair makes a good point. Just some stats from pre-injury for Hollywood Brown. First 6 games before Hollywood was top 5 receiving yards, top 7 in catches. I think he was even the leader as far as targets, at least tied for the league in targets. He was on his way for a big year before his foot injury. Absolutely, and it was a freak injury at the end of a lost football game up in Seattle against the Seahawks, and it was a brutal blow to everybody that wanted to see Hop and Hollywood and Kyler and Rondale Moore, which gets to that third guy, Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore, before his injury, his final 3 games before really the injury put him on the shelf for the rest of the season, averaged 8 catches for 85 yards a game. He was starting to find his stride, and then suffered another injury. So he started the season off before week 1. He had the hamstring, and then he had the groin in Mexico City. And that was it basically for Rondale Moore. We talked to him in the offseason at the Super Bowl. He'd had the surgeries to correct, both sides of his groin there. And then he had the hands, the nasty, pinky thing figured out. So, I mean, the biggest thing with him is staying on the football field. And, I can't say definitively that he will, but if he's a guy that you're staring there, I don't think you draft him. But, I think he's a guy that if he can get on a roll like he was in basically his final 3 games of the year last year, you could stream and throw into your flex or something. But until he can prove, even then, you're holding your breath that he can stay healthy. I think he's an option.
I'm with you. I don't think he's a draftable player. I think he's a free agent pickup. You stash him away. I don't really have an idea of how this team's going to use him. I mean, the infamous shots video with JG and Rondale the day Jonathan Gannon was introduced to the media is embedded in all of our brains. But I think they're going to try to use him. If I had to guess right now, Bo, he's probably, underneath with Greg Dortch. But again, and we're going to talk about Greg here in a second, give me Greg Dortch over Rondale Moore for what you just said. One guy can stay healthy, one can't. And I don't think there's an argument to be made. Rondale Moore, has better physical attributes. He was drafted in the 2nd round. Was Greg undrafted? But I think one is a much better football player than the other one today. That's Greg Dortch. You got to be able to stay healthy. And so with all due respect to Rondale, I hope Drew Petzing is the guy to unlock, the secret sauce, but it's so much bigger than football. It's different in a lot of ways because Andy Isabella, which is, I feel like Andy's a 4-letter word here.
Yeah.
Was a bust in a different ways. He just couldn't produce. He couldn't catch. Right. He would go behind the first down marker. He just wasn't a football. His football IQ was in the toilet in a lot of ways. And I know that's harsh, but in a lot of ways, I never thought Andy was an NFL player. Rondale, when he's healthy, is an NFL player. But the problem with Rondale is he's never healthy. And then it's not just on Sundays, right? Remember, Plexico Burress would never practice and he'd go out and ball out on Sundays for the New York Giants. Rondale Moore, in a perfect world, Rondale Moore could do that, but the offense is not finely tuned to where Rondale Moore can't practice all week and then play on Sundays. He would have to show this coaching staff, and he's going to have to, and hopefully he does, that he's healthy for 3 to 4 months straight, and that they can embed a role for him, whatever that may be, inside, outside, whatever. And now he's reliable. I have no confidence it's going to happen. He has not been healthy for a full season and for the majority of the year since 2018 as a freshman at Purdue, and he was sensational. I mean, that's 5 years ago. That's a lifetime in football. So to me, I wouldn't draft him. He's kind of an afterthought on this team right now, which you hate to say it. Maybe he can prove everybody wrong, but this offense also, and we tease it all the time, it prefers big physical receivers. And if Hollywood's already tiny, and he's not tiny, but he's smaller, like you can't have a bunch of small. This isn't Cliff's offense anymore. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, and the numbers game comes into play here, right? For with Hollywood being the top, right? And then you start to see Rondell, who I think now the problem is fixed, where they're not going to favor a guy because of his previous draft status. So I think Greg Dortch, if he outplays him and forces the issue in training camp, he can force his way onto the field, where I don't think he had that ability last year with the previous coaching staff and front office. But, you know, Rondell Moore does force the issue when he's healthy because of his sheer ability. Like he's one of those guys like that stands out when you see the speed, when you see the athleticism and the playmaking ability, despite his small stature and his inability to stay healthy. Like when he is out there, he forces the issue. So it would be a good thing if he does force the issue again. But I do agree with you where it does open up, you know, opportunities for guys. I think I would rate, you know, Michael Wilson just above Zach Pascal, even though Pascal's been in the league a little bit longer, just because I think this team in the front office are enamored by a guy like Michael Wilson.
Yeah. And let's talk about the young man, because I think he's one of the biggest sleepers on this roster, on this team. We went from, is this kid going to be healthy enough to play? What's his status? Is he going to be buried on the depth chart? Can he play special teams too? Oh, maybe he's starting week 1 with the departure of DeAndre Hopkins now. What do you think? Again, I think we asked this a couple weeks ago. I want to revisit this question from a fantasy perspective, Bo. What's a good year for Michael Wilson in 2023? What's a good surprise year? Oh, this guy's trending up. Yardage and touchdowns. What do you got?
Well, when you have guys like Hollywood who are going to take up, you know, they're going to be the guys that are going to go up over 1,000, right? And you hope to see more from Trey McBride, who I know we're going to talk about here in just a bit. I think that there's obviously one football and more of an emphasis on running the football. If Michael Wilson can exceed 400 yards, I think that's going to get people excited for his future. I mean, I think that there's an opportunity for more. I absolutely do. But I don't want to put them too high at this point before they even get into camp.
I'm looking at the offense last year for Cleveland. So we mentioned Amari Cooper led the way, 1,160 yards. Then it was Donovan Peoples-Jones, a 7th rounder out of Michigan, 839. David Njoku, the tight end, big number 85, had 628 yards. Harrison Bryant, who's on that team, 239 yards. And then David Bell, 214. So again, I'm not sure.
A rookie receiver there in the offense, and you would hope he can put up bigger numbers than former Purdue wide receiver David Bell.
Well, there's no Donovan Peoples-Jones ahead of Michael Wilson on the depth chart. I think, and again, Amari Cooper is a solidified Pro Bowler, even though Dallas inexplicably traded him for a ham sandwich, and they regretted it admittedly last year. Like, I think there are ways for Hollywood and Michael Wilson to succeed and coexist and both produce big numbers if this kid really clicks. Now, we're putting the cart before the horse here big time, but I'm with you. I think anything over 500, 400, 450 is a really great year. And I like the touchdown thing. I think he's going to be forced to be reckoned with, but I feel like touchdowns are so predicated on who's playing quarterback. And if Kyler's not playing a bunch, like I'm not going to hold touchdowns against him unless he's breaking tackles. It's going to be hard for him to pinpoint the football from, maybe David Blau and Jeff Driscoll in the red zone, Clayton Tune, even Colt McCoy. If Kyler's playing 12 games, this kid could have 5 touchdowns because his size is apparent, and it's going to be a problem for teams. Speaking of problems, let's talk about Trey McBride. So he's my number one breakout candidate kind of by default on this offense because he's really only the second-year skill player outside of Keontae Ingram that remains from the prior regime. But unlike Keontae, he was drafted in the 2nd round and had a nice burst of production at the end of last year, especially when it came to targets. Now, we don't know when Zach Ertz will be back, whether it's in August or maybe a little bit after the start of the season. Trey McBride's going to get all the first-team reps. Bo, you've been watching him at OTAs. How does he look? Big number 85. And what's your prediction for the second-year man out of Colorado State?
I think a ton of opportunities. Like we saw at the end of last year, we saw his just his playing time by necessity go up with the Ertz injury, right? And Max Williams just wasn't the same after his knee injury. We saw Trey McBride in his final 5 games, 20 catches for over nearly 220 yards. Sure, you still want to see more production from him, but he's a fast, athletic, playmaking tight end. And if you mentioned Njoku had some decent numbers there, and so did Bryant. And there just aren't that many tight ends right now on this roster. I saw Zach Ertz out there working out yesterday, even doing some running a little bit on the side. But, I don't know what you can kind of say you can rely upon. I know they gave in Howard Balzer's article today, they gave a lot of guaranteed money relative to undrafted rookie free agents to the kid out of Wake Forest at the tight end position. But there just aren't a lot of bodies in that room. I think it's like a Trey McBride, and that's it really for as far as options right now at the tight end position. And that's going to benefit him as far as getting the looks and developing as the playmaker that they envisioned coming out of Colorado State last year in the second round.
Yeah, and if you remember, Colt McCoy had a lot of success with Zach Ertz when he came into the lineup 2 years ago. When Trey McBride was healthy last year at the end of the season, and he was the number 1 target after Zach Ertz went down, he was probably outside of DeAndre Hopkins their number 1 pass catcher. I mean, for better or worse, that's who it was. And then you got kind of flash in the pan play from AJ Green. But Trey McBride, to me, a successful year for Trey is, I would say, over 600 yards. I would say 7 touchdowns. Like you're a second round tight end. We've talked about it, Bo, the comparisons to somebody like Cole Kmet, who exploded this year with Justin Fields. Like, I have the same expectations. Trey McBride's production, albeit at a smaller school in Colorado State, was elite. He was the best tight end in that draft class last year's pre-draft, and I think, again, was stunted a little bit by the coaching staff, stunted by quarterback play, and then had a Pro Bowler in Zach Ertz in front of him. Like, he is the easiest player, especially when you consider how tight end friendly this offense is going to be, to project as. You're going to look up at the end of the year, like, it would not surprise me if he's a top, 12 tight end in the NFL in terms of fantasy football. I think that's very realistic.
It's a lot of, that's high expectations, but when you take him as the top pick in your draft and you take him as the top tight end off the board last season, like they did, I think that those expectations are deserved. I don't think it's something that McBride's going to shy away from. And the multiple tight end sets, I think that would benefit a guy like McBride. You put a guy who's more of a possession receiver in Zach Ertz, and then you have the playmaking ability with McBride. Or if you're setting it up and the defense reads run, I think McBride could be lethal in those situations. He really could. It's just a matter of can he get up to speed, finding the soft parts of the defense and getting to the ball in his hands to make those plays, which those opportunities, as you outlined, were few and far between, too few and far between. A guy that was criminally inactive, which should have been his first career game from this previous coaching staff. Hopefully I think there is a lot more belief in him this season. And because also it's a necessity, just because Ertz, you just don't know yet.
A couple guys I would keep handy on waiver wires. So we mentioned Michael Wilson, I think, is a sleeper, but he could be a starter at some point. Keontae Ingram, just kind of by default, if they don't add another back, that could change in the matter of one transaction in the preseason. So take that with a grain of salt. They have 5 running backs.
They just added Aaron Brewer, the former long snapper, back to the roster. They released the previous long snapper they brought in this offseason, and then they added a couple corners yesterday. Their roster's at 90. They're maxed out, and they have 5 running backs right now. They don't seem to have any urgency as far as going out there and getting any more backs. And it seems like it's James Conner and it's Keontae Ingram, who James Conner spoke very well of Keontae the other day when we talked to him in the press room. So it really feels like those are the guys. You got Corey Clement, as you mentioned, and like the kid they picked up as an undrafted free agent out of TCU. I think this is like, if you're thinking of who are the 2 backs that they're going to look to, it's James and Keontae.
Not to bring this up randomly, so PFF has been ranking all of the positions in the NFL like top 32. They do not have James Conner as a top 32 running back in the NFL. They have Cam Akers, 31. They have Zeke, a free agent, at 30.
They have Ezekiel Elliott at 30.
Yeah, and they do not have James Conner.
They should fire who wrote that article. Is it Sam?
Oh no, I think it's like a cumulative. Everybody polls. No, it's Trevor Sycamore. Trevor, friend of the program.
Office, Trevor.
That
get a box and get your stuff.
Egregious.
Get the F out of here.
I think he's been Zeke, 30 years old. Zeke. They also have Yelda Froldholt, the lowest ranked center in the NFL. That's not a rookie. And then they have all the rookies below him. And then lastly, Creed Humphreys, who should have been an Arizona Cardinal. He's the first center. So PFF, what have you done? All right. So we've got some guys we like. Again, Greg Dortch, I'm bullish on. I can't wait to see him.
Plus this, look, I'd love to say this right on a Tank Tuesday. Tank Tuesdays that we're with an eye towards the future. That running back room, I would be shocked if they didn't take an RB1 next draft.
They were going to pull the trigger on a couple guys this year, but they were drafted ahead of him. I think with the Michael Wilson pick, that was a sweet spot. And some guys, I think they were in on Tank Bigsby, and he went right before. That's okay. Maybe a diamond in the rough fell to them. I got a diamond for you. More
Bigsby
furniture
would have been fit right in on Tank Tuesdays.
Oh, geez. That's a missed opportunity for our marketing department and the Cardinals. What's not a missed opportunity? Well, it is if you don't take advantage of more furniture. Buy what you want for your home at a convenience with their white glove delivery. It's been fantastic. We use it at the PHNX studios. Somebody in this podcast or two bros may have some moves down the line and may require some white glove delivery. So keep an eye out for more furniture. Why wouldn't you? Save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Again, I'm sitting here on this little, not to be timid here, this Target chair hurts my back. I need a nice piece of furniture from More Furniture at www.morefurniture.com.
I know our sleeves are off and you're seeing Johnny's boulder shoulders and my guns right now. And you're like, you guys don't need white glove delivery, right? You're probably throwing some furniture around with ease, right? Yeah, look at those things. But no, we're paying for the white glove delivery. It's more than worth it. Also, things that are more worth it. How about OG's Brands? Arizona's favorite cannabis kitchen, of course. They're creating experiences all around the Valley, even beyond, and you need to tap into the great experiences that they are making right now. They're part of the PHNX family, and we love them being a part of everything and us being a part of what they're doing, their journey over there. They've got some incredible flavors that you don't want to miss out on. Of course, they've got the orange creamsicle, the black berries and cream. You got the peaches and the cream. Pink lemonade is dropping on June 21st. That's right. Pink lemonade month is upon us. You don't want to miss out on that. And they've got the mix bags now. You thought that seems simple, right? Why? No, the mix bags are new. They've got the fruits. They've got the creams all in one mix bag. Get yourself in on those at your local dispensary. Plus, if you're looking for something to help you with maybe getting to sleep, staying asleep, they've got their sleep edition aquaberry flavored gummy that'll help put you to sleep. It helps with rest, relaxation. Get in on it. Check out OG's, all their great products on their website, ogsbrands.com, and follow them on Instagram at ogsbrands. Got to be 21 years or older, but you can find those products at your local dispensary.
It's Tuesday, and it's a Tank Tuesday, the first inaugural Tank Tuesday, which means if it's a tank, we're tanking for a PFF mock draft. Bo Brock, I'm going to present my screen. We're going to let you in the chat dictate the plans for the Arizona Cardinals in the 2024 NFL draft. Give me one hot minute here.
Let me, while you bring that up, I saw a question about Chase Young. There was the report that the Commanders, the Cardinals' Week 1 opponent, that they were shopping a Chase Young. Somebody entered my DMs asking the question, should the Arizona Cardinals, Trinell asking if they should be on it. I just don't think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in the business of giving up future picks, especially for a rental type player in Chase Young. And he jokingly brought up, what about Simmons straight up for Chase Young? Maybe because the only reason I think they might do that is change the scenery for both guys and more of a premium position as far as Young. But I don't think that that's anything that Washington would be in business for. So no Chase Young. And then Jalen Blair asking, do you think the Cards are waiting to see what happens with Dalvin Cook? One betting site has the Cards' third best odds for his team in 2023. I don't see it. I don't, as far as the Arizona Cardinals being in on Dalvin Cook, no matter what the price tag is.
Yeah, echo all of that. And Chase Young be a great player. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. Cardinals are going to draft and develop. Now, however, if you abide by this mock draft and you're thinking, well, the Cardinals are going to take a quarterback on a rookie deal, a Chase Young big trade and extension would make sense. Does it make sense, though, with Kyler Murray making $40+ million and you've got to shore up the rest of the roster? I don't know. I happen to like the edge rushers the Cardinals have. Let's let the chips fall where they may in 2023 with Zaven, BJ, Majay, and Cameron. Let's let the chips fall where they may in this mock draft, Bo Brock. Cardinals are on the clock. Somehow still with the first and second pick in this draft. Fun fact, Kyle Odegaard, friend of the program, posted some betting odds today. Cardinals have the best odds to go winless this year at plus 1,600. Then there's a huge drop-off. Houston's plus 4,000. You got Colin Cowherd saying Houston's going to go 8-8. PFF's not buying it. What should we do here in this mock draft?
Plus 1,600. I mean, if you see incredible value there, but those are still astronomical odds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't give you, that's not a slam dunk in any situation. So are we trading out of this pick?
I think for some entertainment purposes, let's trade this pick. Not number 2, but number 1.
So it's still under the assumption nothing has changed. USC hasn't played a game yet. We haven't seen any college football. Caleb Williams is still the consensus number 1 overall pick, and this is going to be an absolute haul. The Arizona Cardinals and Monty Ossenfort are going to get an absolute haul in return from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they can pull off the deal here. What else are we throwing in here?
Well, they aren't letting me pick like more than future ones in 2026.
Throw a couple 2s in there, then.
Okay, we're gonna do a couple 2s, and then I mean, I'm gonna do that. What else do you like? Tampa?
You throw Tristan Wirfs in there?
Yeah. What else? Tampa? Tristan in Paris sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, Tampa's roster is pretty bad. That's why they're picking 3rd overall. How about Kyle Trask? That do anything for you?
No.
This is not enough. Look, it's still here. I better start the draft. Okay, so trade. What happened to Tampa? That I butchered this already. We'll go back to Tampa.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and Tristan Wirfs. Okay, is that enough?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, we're gonna offer.
You got to put the 1-1.
Oh God,
they're out on it. Take Wirfs out of there.
All right. Well, that's not enough though.
I know, but
man, we're gonna force this trade. We're gonna force it. So you get their first 3 picks next year and their first 3 picks the year after that for Caleb Williams. That doesn't seem like enough. Is there a team with multiple ones? All right, we're gonna call the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, the Cardinals.
Yeah, right. All right. We're doing that. We're hijacking this. We're Chicago. Am I blind? All right. 1-1. There's 3 1s. There's your 3 1s right there. I'm forcing.
So they're moving off Justin Fields. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Fields he had a terrible year, maybe a scandal off the field. Something went terribly awry, and they've got to move off of him and move off of him fast. They're trying to save jobs. So they've got the 10th pick, the 11th pick, and then their 2025. I think and then their 2nd because they got one from Carolina. I'm forcing
Doesn't look
this
like they're going to do this one. All right, go ahead.
I'm forcing this because so Chicago Bears get Caleb Williams. The Cardinals get 2 1s this year. So now they have 3 1s. That makes this draft more fun. Then we get a 1 in 2025. And then we get a 2nd in 2025.
Okay.
And now Kyler Murray is your quarterback of the future as we resume this draft, Bo Brock.
All right. So they don't take
a quarterback. Well, for the sake of this, we're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. You would assume, right? We're just going to pretend that they took Caleb Williams, even though we probably should have had them trade Justin Fields to Arizona just so that pick would make sense. But okay. Kool-Aid, a little Kool-Aid. Little Kellen King. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama, the top corner in the draft. That's a premium position. You got him potentially playing along with Marco Wilson and then Garrett Williams, who should be all healed up and have his rookie season under his belt. I think that's a slam dunk pick right there at Alabama, an SEC ass kicker.
What about a linebacker from Clemson? I'm having PTSD right here. No, we're not going to do that. Back-to-back picks. So we're still – I'm going to tell you right now, this kid's he's an animal. He's a specimen. This Newton kid was a big-time prospect. Brett Bielema, if you watch their defense this year, the kid that they got drafted, that cornerback that went to Seattle, that's the start of something special in Champaign. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. This kid's going to be easily a top 20 pick next year.
And it's obviously a position of need for the Arizona Cardinals. It was one that they really couldn't identify this previous draft. So why not? Why not get an interior defensive lineman, some beef out of Champaign?
Champagne for my campaign. The Cardinals wrapping up their 2024 mock draft here. The Cardinals exit Kyler Murray, still your franchise quarterback. I know that's going to make a lot of people happy. The Cardinals get the presumed package for Caleb Williams, that being 3 1s and a 2. Some may say that's an overpay. Some may say that's not enough. Here is our grade right here. Marvin Harrison Jr., A-. Then the mega trade happens, or that happened beforehand. And then we got Kool-Aid, number 1 corner, Newton, I would say a top defensive line prospect. I don't like that C+. Bo, what would you give this mock?
I mean, like my entire school career, I'd take a B+, no doubt. I'd run out of the classroom with that, and no take backsies from the teacher. I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, you get a generational type wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., a couple with Kyler Murray, really kind of welcoming him back. You're set for the future with some great draft capital, and you get some more premium positions checked off, and Kool-Aid, Kids Tree out of Bama, and then some beef in the middle of the defensive line. I love it. That's a fantastic mock draft. It's a nice inaugural or debut Tank Tuesday. I was glad I gave up my sleeves for that draft.
And we're equipping Kyler Murray with endless resources here. And I got a resource for you. How about our friends at Saturday Neon? I'm repping my Shady Rays. Bo's going to tell you about Shady Rays here in a second, but I need my Shady Rays to take in the power of Saturday Neon. It's a company started by 2 friends, former college roommates, that makes official licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs. We need a neon sign for our friends at AU, U of A, and ASU. And whether you're diehard or casual, you'll love the way these signs light up your space in Arizona colors. They're made with high-quality materials and backed by a 2-year warranty. Fantastic. They're shipped with everything you need. You get the mount, you get the power strip, you get the dim. So easy. Everybody can install and operate at their own convenience. It's great for offices, man caves, dorm rooms, graduation gifts, basements, whatever. And they make a great gift for Father's Day. I'm hoping my wife is taking the hint. SaturdayNeon.com is the website. Use that promo code PHNX, 10% off your first order today, and you get free shipping on everything 200 and over. So go nuts with our friends at Saturday Neon, Bo.
Yeah, and when you've got Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got Kyler Murray, you've got Michael Wilson after his rookie year, you got a future so bright, you need some Shady Rays. You need more than one pair of Shady Rays, and you can cash in on the best deal of the season with Shady Rays using the code PHNX. Get 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades. Independent sunglasses company that keeps that price down. World-class product that is just as good as expensive sunglasses. Those expensive sunglasses are collecting dust in my truck. And boy, do I look like a guy who drives a truck with my sleeves gone right now. I'm really fitting that part, playing that part right now. Exclusively for our PHNX Cardinals and PHNX listeners, we've got that deal. Shady Rays giving out the best deal. Go to ShadyRays.com. Use that code PHNX. Get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. It's more than just myself, producer Emma, and Johnny, who's wearing his cool Shady Rays right now. It's 250,000. 250,000 people are saying that they love. No, they just don't like them. They love them. Check out, get them try them out for yourself. Save some coin by doing so at ShadyRays.com using that code PHNX.
Real talk. Love these more than any other name brand sunglasses I've ever had. They're much more affordable. Check them out. My wife loves them. Getting her a pair ASAP. Check out Shady Rays. I'm going to be rocking my Shady Rays, if I can, every single Tank Tuesday. We'll put a bow on Tank Tuesday, Bo Brock, with Johnny Venerable. Like and subscribe. Do me a favor, everybody. Like this video. It helps share it around the YouTube algorithm here. And again, emphasizing tanks for Tank. right? We're not doing the traditional tank. If you're just joining us, we're repping our tanks because it's hot AF here in Arizona. And will the Cardinals be hot, Bo? That remains to be seen, but we will be in our tanks.
I'm going to be not in my tank tomorrow. I got to class it up for Cardinals OTAs, and I don't think JG and crew would appreciate that I'm dressed up to go to a NASCAR race. I got to keep it professional, but excited. And you got to make sure you got to become a diehard, because in the Discord tomorrow, I'm going to be posting some exclusive content. You got to sign up to become a diehard today, because we were just talking about here at the PHNX studios about all the perks that go into becoming a diehard. You can get, of course, some great shirts like I've got right now, and they come with sleeves, believe it or not.
Nice.
But, you've got all the great football apparel that we've got already in there. It gets you early access, exclusive discounts from select partners. You get a free entree card from Illegal Pete's. You don't want to miss out on that. You get D-back takeovers. You get exclusive access to that as well. And Knockout Nights Cornhole Tournament. You got to become a diehard. The best way to do it, go to PHNXLocker.com, grab your membership, and receive exclusive content, discounts to all events and merch, and access to our Discord chats. Like I said, going to be dropping some video from OTAs tomorrow, some exclusive content there. Only way to do it is to sign up, become a diehard.
OTAs, say hey for Bo Brock. He's at Bo Brock on Twitter. I'm Johnny Venerable. Again, hashtag Tank Tuesdays at the PHNX Cardinals Beat It Count. You get a retweet from your boys. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. We're back tomorrow on a Wednesday. Have a good one.